Jesus had said relationship with God was a reality. He lived with a God focus, a centering upon God's presence as a part of his life. He lived a life filled with God's Spirit and God's love. He showed how it transformed the way we felt about ourselves, about those around us, and even about our enemies. His truth applied in his own life showed how life and culture could become a place of peace and caring. He said this was the way for life to be good for all. And it got him brutally and viciously murdered by tradition and power. What must his followers have thought at that moment of his hope to bring change and revitalization to his culture and religion? What must they thought of his fight for social justice? Jesus in the play admits his mission is to make God real for all people. When he ends up hanging naked as a bloody victim on a cruel Roman cross, it must have seemed to be the absolute confirmation of failure for that mission. Jesus proclaimed that God's reign, God's kingdom is at hand. How wrong that must have felt, watching him die. In the play, the chief high priest speaks at the end to Jesus in Pilate's dungeon. Jesus has been beaten and has finally drifted back into an unconscious state. Caiaphas says his thoughts out loud and the audience hears them. Goodbye, Jesus, he says. Your ministry is done. And no one will remember. No one will remember what you call a stand for truth. No one. And then he declares an ironic truth. He says, no one. No one. No one will remember. And he looks down at Jesus. This Galilean. This next insight is not in the play, but I think it has a major implication in the story of the Galilean and in the understanding of the historical Jesus and his message and ministry. I call it the Jesus paradigm shift. I believe that Jesus was a creative, intuitive genius who had the ability to see and comprehend the general picture of religious faith in his culture and in that early first century setting. He saw the paradigms that created the boundaries of the Jewish faith, his own beloved faith. And certainly he had no comprehension of paradigms or the power of paradigm shifts, a concept originated by Thomas Kuhn in physics in the 1960s. But neither did other geniuses who brought major paradigm shifts into the world, like Copernicus and Galileo, Plato, Shakespeare, or Einstein. I think Jesus understood that the exclusionary concepts about God and God's love were wrong. They failed to grasp the inclusive nature of truth as he saw it. I think he saw that there was a missing concept of dynamic religious reality. And that was the availability and accessibility of relationship with God. I think he grasped the necessity of God's presence, God's Spirit, and God's love as a transforming power to change people that the world might be changed. I think Jesus had a mission to make God real to all people. I think he sought to bring change to his world by saying that some of the basic concepts about God just are wrong. I think he saw so many outcast and disenfranchised groups told that they had no hope of God's favor. And he said, that's just not true. He went to them in ministry, and he said by his actions that no one was outside the love of God. He challenged the concepts of God being unapproachable and distant, and lived out before the people the real possibility of being close to God. He brought new paradigms and created a paradigm shift in the worlds of those with whom he came into contact. His ministry worked. His message was incredible. He produced a paradigm shift that created a movement. His words and his life had the sound of truth. And then, suddenly, he died. More than that, he was violently killed. And truth crumbled and made no sense. Truth crumbled, maybe forever. A real shift occurred. What happened from this point on is told and explained in doctrines and dogmas that make up the essence of the modern popular Christian faith. Paul, the most prolific writer of books in the New Testament, shows the change of emphasis by making only one small reference to the time of Jesus' ministry before the crucifixion. In Christianity, Jesus is lifted up as divinity, and his death on the cross is seen as his major purpose and his sole mission by many. It is a part of God's plan for salvation. Belief in this doctrine is how you get to heaven. It is not important to me what doctrinal stand you must sign or what short prayer you must speak to get started on your Christian walk or to make an eternal reservation. But I believe that Jesus taught by his life that religion is about relationship with God. What seems important, or to be more accurate, what seems importantly sad, is the realization that Jesus might well have been a more remarkable person than we have ever even remotely grasped. He had a mission to make God real to all people. He had a vision that could see the outcasts, and he responded by opening the palace doors. He had a love of humanity that was so great that he embraced the unclean. He had so much courage. He was willing to take a stand for truth when threatened. His ministry changed his world. It changed the lives of those who met him, of those who heard him. He offered truths that could make a difference. As Christians, as followers of this remarkable person, it only seems honestly obvious that we should take seriously what he took seriously in his ministry. The play, The Galilean, makes us ask this question: do we remember? It is the question on Jesus' lips as he is arrested. If we could only remember. If only Caiaphas in the play was wrong. Let us remember the Galilean.